The movie starts with a man named Kwon. Not long ago, he was a national taekwondo champion, but now, he practically lives at an internet cafe. He doesn't have a real job, but in the digital world he is an absolute warlord at playing online games. In one specific game, his character's name is Captain, and he leads a squad of friends known as the Resurrection Team. Inside the game, Captain always heroically helps his teammates, even if it means sacrificing himself to danger. After his marathon session at the internet cafe, Kwon noticed a forgotten cell phone ringing on the desk next to him. Someone was calling, so he answered and heard a woman's voice on the other end. The woman explained that she had left her phone at the cafe and asked if he could be a gentleman and bring it to her house. Kwon was reluctant to play delivery boy at first. However, when the woman offered him $300 for the trouble, his hesitation vanished faster than his internet connection, and he immediately agreed to go to her house. When he arrived, he found the front door unlocked and realized the woman was currently taking a shower. The woman spoke to him from inside the bathroom, telling Kwon to simply leave the cell phone on the table and take the cash she had left there. Kwon followed instructions, but before leaving, he shouted out a warning, "Don't just leave your door open like that. It's dangerous because any weirdo could walk in." The next day, while Kwon was peacefully sleeping in his room, the police kicked down his door and arrested him. According to the officers, Kwon was accused of brutally murdering the very woman he had returned the phone to. Kwon had absolutely no idea what was happening, yet the universe seemed to be conspiring against him. The evidence was overwhelming. There was blood on his hands. The murder weapon was found in his room and his fingerprints were all over the woman's house. To make matters worse, there was security camera footage placing him at the scene, and even his DNA was somehow found at the crime scene. The full accusation was horrific. He allegedly raped the woman twice and stabbed her in the neck and stomach until she died. Within a few hours, the news went viral, and the public immediately hated him for the alleged heinous crime. When Kwon's mother heard the terrible news, she rushed to the police station but was barred from seeing her son. In the heartbreaking scenes that followed, she could be seen handing out flyers insisting her son was innocent and the victim of a massive setup. Sadly, the public was convinced Kwon was guilty, so they ignored her pleas and insulted him even more. Eventually, he sought help from a public defender named Mr. Min. However, even Mr. Min initially looked at Kwon and thought, "Yeah, you probably did it," because there was just so much evidence stacked against him. A few days later, the first court hearing was held. All the damning evidence against Kwon was presented, and due to intense media coverage and public pressure, the trial was faster than a speedrun level. The court immediately issued a decision. Kwon was guilty. He was sentenced to life in a high-security prison without the possibility of parole. According to the judge's logic, Kwon's mind was damaged due to his loitering and excessive video game playing, which supposedly turned him into a killer. In the dead of night, he was transferred to prison. Inside, he looked like a lost, innocent child thrown into a pit of vicious criminals. One day, the prison gang leader Ma noticed him and decided he needed a new punching bag. Ma had his men pick Kwon up while the guards saw exactly what was happening, but conveniently looked the other way. Ma signaled the guards not to interfere, and the beatdown began. When Ma started beating him, Kwon glared back, which only made Ma even angrier. Kwon was beaten by the gang until he could barely move a muscle. When the guards finally arrived to break up the fight, Ma played the victim and reported that Kwon was the one who started it. As punishment for getting beaten up, Kwon was sentenced to a day in solitary confinement. When he was finally released, Ma and his group attacked Kwon yet again. They beat him badly and forcibly injected him with a strange chemical. After this, Kwon seemed to lose his mind completely. The drugs made him delirious, and he began biting and gnawing on his own body like a zombie. From then on, he was beaten almost every single day in prison. One day, his mother finally visited him with their lawyer, Mr. Min. His mother was terrified when she saw Kwon's condition, realizing immediately that he was being tortured inside. Everything became clear to her when she saw the extent of Kwon's wounds. She told Kwon to be patient for a little longer and assured him that she would get him out of that hellhole. She refused to be known as the mother of a rapist, and she didn't want Kwon to live with such a terrible stain on his name. His mother's words gave Kwon a sudden boost of courage and strength. When he returned to his cell, he was full of new hope. However, the abuse from Ma and his group continued relentlessly. One day during lunch, a sympathetic fellow inmate slipped Kwon some ointment for his wounds. This inmate believed Kwon was innocent and hinted that Ma actually knew something about the frame-up job. Despite this, Kwon continued to be beaten because he was seen as an easy target. finally, Kwon decided to fight for himself to show he wasn't just an NPC in their game. One day, when Ma's men came to beat him again, he immediately hid and crafted makeshift weapons out of pen and paper like MacGyver. One by one, he knocked down Ma's minions, and finally, a strong blow knocked down Ma himself. However, the victory was short-lived. The next day, Mr. Min arrived with devastating news about his mother. He handed a death certificate to Kwon, asking him to sign it so the government could arrange her funeral. What was even sadder was that Kwon wasn't even allowed to attend his own mother's funeral. Mr. Min explained that after Kwon was convicted, the public harassment became so severe that it drove his mother into extreme depression, and she eventually committed suicide. Hearing that, Kwon's heart shattered completely. But that night, he dreamed of his mother, and in the dream, he hugged her one last time. The next day, he remembered his mother saying she didn't want a criminal for a son. Because of this memory, he made a solemn promise to prove his innocence. Suddenly, he attacked Ma again in a blind rage. But when the guard came to stop him, Kwon deliberately stabbed himself in the stomach. He was immediately loaded into a prison van to be rushed to the hospital. But this was all part of his desperate plan. While on the way, he sprang up and attacked the guards despite his injury. He pointed a syringe at a guard's neck and demanded the key to his handcuffs. The guard handed it over, but in the chaos, the car crashed and everyone inside was injured. Fortunately, Kwon survived the wreck. He removed his handcuffs and scrambled out of the van. The guard pointed his gun at him, but for some reason he lowered the weapon. Perhaps he finally understood that a truly guilty man wouldn't fight this hard for his life. Kwon fled into the forest. He hid from the search parties, stole some clothes to blend in, and just kept running. After a few hours of stumbling through the woods, the police were hot on his tail. While fleeing, he noticed a couple stranded on the roadside. Their car had broken down, and they were frantically trying to get to the airport. Kwon, using his handy skills, helped them fix the car, and in return, they gave him a ride. They had absolutely no idea they were chauffeuring a wanted fugitive, and since they were leaving the country anyway, they generously left their car with Kwon, telling him to sell it for some cash. Kwon took the car and drove back to the city, which was fortunate because his wallet was emptier than his stomach. With nowhere else to turn, he went to Mr. Min's house, hoping his lawyer would understand the situation. Min played the sympathy card and gave Kwon the last memento of his late mother, a necklace. He tried to comfort Kwon, promising to review the case documents again, but while spewing these comforting lies, he secretly dialed the police and urged Kwon to surrender. Realizing the betrayal, Kwon fled immediately before the cops could crash the party. A short while later, he sneaked into an internet cafe and began reading all the articles about himself, confirming the whole world was against him. But then, Kwon stumbled upon a video documentary that claimed he was actually the victim of a fabricated case. The uploader explained the physics of the crime, noting that it was impossible for him to have raped the victim twice and killed her in just 3 minutes, unless he was a time traveler. The video also revealed that much of the evidence had been tampered with. Seeing this ray of hope, Kwon sighed in relief. He dug deeper and realized the content creator was a user named Mr. Harry, someone he used to play online games with. After arranging a meetup, Kwon finally met Mr. Harry. To his surprise, the tech wizard wasn't a hairy man at all, but a woman named Yeo-wool. She was actually a member of Kwon's Resurrection gaming team. Yeo-wool warned Kwon that the cafe manager was about to call the cops, so they had to skedaddle immediately. She took him to her secret hideout outside the city where she lived alone. She was a computer genius, which was also her main source of income. She cooked Kwon a delicious meal, which made him tear up with joy because he was sick of the gourmet slop served in prison. Not long after, the other members of the gaming squad arrived at the hideout. They wanted to help their captain in real life, just as he had always helped them in the game. Yeo-wool had already investigated the case and found gaping holes in the evidence. Now, they were ready to prove Kwon's innocence as a team. They started cross-referencing recent big cases. They noticed a suspicious truck appearing in the CXD footage at multiple crime scenes, like a bad movie cameo. Yeo-wool traced the truck's registration to a local junkyard. Kwon infiltrated the junkyard and saw 2 sketchy men carrying a large box toward a vehicle. Kwon followed them to a fancy building which turned out to be the home of the well-known TV actor No Jun-young. To his horror, Kwon saw that the box contained No Jun-young's dead body. Kwon hid in a corner, watching as special agents arrived not to solve the crime, but to plant fake fingerprints and hair. It was then revealed that Kwon's own lawyer, Mr. Min, was the evil mastermind behind this entire operation. The real killer of the actor was the son of a wealthy businessman named Chairman Chu. To save his precious son from prison, Chu had hired Min to create fake evidence and frame some random innocent person. We then learn that Mr. Min has a secret villain lair in his building that opens only via facial recognition. Inside, using a supercomputer with advanced eye, he searches for a perfect scapegoat to blame for the crime. The computer selected a woman named Sue. She had zero connection to the actor, lived a quiet life, and was totally unaware of the doom awaiting her. In fact, Min had already sent his goons to Sue's house to tranquilize her and steal hair, blood, and saliva samples to plant at the murder scene. Meanwhile, Kwon took a photo of the fake fingerprints Min's men had left on the body. He sent the image to Yeo-wool so she could scan the prints and figure out who Min was planning to frame next. It didn't take long for Yeo-wool to confirm the prints belonged to Sue. They immediately called Sue, spoofing the number, and tricked her into going to the actor's house. Using Yeo-wool's hacking skills, they tapped the phone line and heard a familiar voice giving instructions. It was the same woman's voice that had called Kwon on the day he was framed. Kwon rushed out to confront the woman handling the setup. He tried to grab her, but at the last moment, she escaped on the back of a motorcycle driven by an accomplice. Kwon chased them like an action hero until his car inconveniently broke down. Suddenly, Ma and his gang arrived and captured Kwon. Turns out, Ma had been released from prison early, presumably for bad behavior. They dragged Kwon to a warehouse and began to torture him, but Yeo-wool thought fast, called the police, and reported a fake hostage situation to trick the SWAT team into coming. She pretended she was being held hostage by Kwon. However, Mr. Min used his influence to order the SWAT team to stand down and leave the area. Thinking quickly, Yeo-wool let out a blood-curdling scream into the phone, forcing the SWAT team to ignore orders and storm the warehouse. The tactic worked. In the chaos, Kwon escaped Ma's clutches, while the SWAT team stood around realizing they had been pranked by a hacker. Yeo-wool pulled up in a getaway car, picked up Kwon, and they sped off. But even after escaping, Ma was still trailing them like a heat-seeking missile. Kwon wondered how on earth Ma knew his location. Yeo-wool scanned him with a detector and discovered a tracker hidden inside his mother's necklace. That's when the penny dropped. Mr. Min was behind everything. He had given Kwon the necklace not out of kindness, but to tag him like a wild animal. We also learned that Mr. Min was the one who pulled strings to get Ma out of jail, specifically to hunt down Kwon. Kwon's team went full spy mode, building drones to scan Min's building. They were convinced his Big Brother supercomputer was inside, holding data on everyone in the country. Fortunately, their suspicions were correct. The drones located the massive server room inside the building. Meanwhile, Kwon disrupted Min's cleanup crew and stole the fake evidence intended for the actor's murder scene. When Min found out, he panicked and ordered his agents to scrub the house and set up a new crime scene somewhere else. But Kwon wasn't having it. He intercepted and blew up the van carrying the fake evidence. Boom. It was then revealed that Chairman Chu's killer son was hiding in a hospital, posing as a patient to avoid suspicion. The spoiled brat called his rich daddy, whining that he wanted to leave. So Mr. Chu threatened Mr. Min to speed up the framing process or else. Min hastily began creating a crime scene in a new location. But they didn't know Kwon had bugged them and was already one step ahead with a clever plan. Kwon disguised himself as one of Min's agents and picked up Chu's son, driving him directly to the location where the dead body had been moved. The plan worked perfectly. Chu's son was found with the body and arrested for the murder he actually committed. The news spread across the country like wildfire. Min's mission was a total failure. Kwon called him to gloat, promising to expose Min's entire evil operation to the world. But Min, being a complete psycho, wasn't afraid. In fact, he seemed thrilled that someone finally had the guts to challenge him. Min claimed he was bored with framing people because it was too easy, but thanks to Kwon, his job was finally exciting again. While Min was monologuing like a Bond villain, Kwon simply hung up on him, which made Min absolutely furious. He then glanced into his outer office and saw his secretary unconscious. He realized the call was a distraction. Kwon was already in the building. Min sprinted to his secret server room, but Kwon caught him and delivered a merciless beatdown. The fight spilled over right in front of the high-tech supercomputer. Kwon accessed the system and found the videos showing exactly how his fingerprints and DNA were stolen while he slept. He also found surveillance footage of his mother. Min then dropped a bombshell. "Your mother didn't just die, I killed her." Min explained explained that she was causing too much trouble with her protests, so he silenced her. Hearing this, Kwon snapped and beat Min within an inch of his life. Kwon then started transferring all the incriminating evidence from the supercomputer to a thumb drive for Yeo-wool. But suddenly, Ma called Kwon's phone. He had captured the gaming team and threatened to kill them if Kwon didn't surrender immediately. They had traced the signal back to the hideout, allowing Ma to ambush the whole group. Ma gave him a 30-second deadline. Kwon didn't have time to wait for the download to finish, so he abandoned the computer to save his friends. As he ran, Min taunted him, saying Yeo-wool was his next framing victim and that agents were already harvesting her DNA. Back at the hideout, Ma shot at one of the team members but missed. Suddenly, the lights cut out. Kwon had arrived. Using his elite fighting skills, and probably some gamer rage, he took down Ma's men. The group then fled, heading straight for the TV station. They dodged Ma's thugs, Min's agents, and the police, only to find that Min had hacked the networks and was broadcasting a warning that Kwon's group were dangerous terrorists. At the station, the team caused a distraction while Yeo-wool jacked into the command center's mainframe. She was ready to expose the truth. Outside, the police arrested everyone except Yeo-wool, who was still hidden. Police surrounded Kwon's car. He stepped out, hands raised, surrendering while the whole country watched on live TV. Min watched from his office, smiling, but Min's smile vanished when he checked his system. He realized Yeo-wool's drive had finished the transfer remotely before Kwon left the office. Using the stolen data, Yeo-wool hacked the live broadcast, exposing Min's crimes and the dirty secrets of his wealthy clients. The broadcast revealed exactly how they faked evidence. The public watched in shock, realizing they had been wrong about Kwon and all the other victims. Exposed and desperate, Min tried to escape in his car, but Kwon's team had already hacked his vehicle controls. He was arrested immediately, though whispers remained of a bigger boss behind the scenes who was still in the shadows. Nevertheless, Kwon and his group were released with their names cleared. Meanwhile, inside prison, Min found himself in the same cell block as May. Given that Ma looked ready to kill him, it was clear Min's prison life was going to be painful.